And welcome, everyone, to the Davenport Football Coaches Show. We are coming to you live on a Tuesday night from Uccello's in Caledonia on YouTube Live. Glad you could join us here. The head coach, Sparky McEwen, is here. I'm Rick Berkey. We're here throughout the football season on Tuesday. A quick note for you. Our final show of the season next week will be on a Monday. Monday night next week for the finale. Same time on YouTube Live at 7 o'clock. Sparky's here. We will talk a little bit about Saturday's game against Wayne State. We will talk, we have a special visitor, at least one. In fact, two players Sparky brought along we'll visit with and learn a little bit more about them. That's good to see. And then we'll, of course, preview this coming Saturday, which is the home finale. Final chance for the West Michigan fans to come out and see the Davenport Panthers in person as they will take on Northwoods Timberwolves Saturday at 12 noon at the Farmers Insurance Athletic Complex. Sparky McEwen joins us right now. And, Coach, first let's reflect back on Saturday. Your young and battered team took it. Wayne State was the better team Saturday.
Oh, man, we ran into a buzzsaw. It was, things that you and I talked about the week before where I truly felt that Wayne State has taken that next step from a slow start, but they lost to a couple, top-notch ranked teams, Slippery Rock, Truman, in their first couple ball games. But since then, they've really turned it on. The only other team that really has, taken it to them was Ferris State. And they're taking it to everybody at this point in time. But other than that, Wayne State, it was a physical challenge for us, and didn't help us, not having our starting quarterback or our starting running back in that game. You can't expect to go in and produce a lot when your starting backfield is not in the ball game.
Talking about Wayne State, I think they're a perfect example, Sparky, of the GLIAC in that here they are 5-1 in second place, and look at where they were last year. The difference between 5-1 and 1-5 in the GLIAC is very small as far as game by game.
It is. Once you take a look at our conference and, as advertised, it's the SEC of Division II football. It's an extremely, extremely tough, conference, and, you've got to be on top of your game. Your players must be on top of their game. Everyone must be on the same page. You can't turn the ball over. You got to execute, especially, when you're, playing football, in November.
We mentioned your team is young many times this year. Well, your third year heading the program here in Division II, and yet this might be, fair to say, your youngest team? Yeah,
this one here, of the teams that we've had, right now on offense, we're going to return 9 starters on offense, and when you start throwing in guys that actually started for us the year before, they'll be back next year. So whether it's due to injuries and things like that. We got a young man by the name of Nolan Fugate, that the West Michigan, the locals, know of, that's been a superstar,
All-state
here.
Performer at Grand Rapids Catholic Central.
Yes, and he's still recovering, and he's looking better and better, and we're excited about getting, a guy like that back mixed with some of those other guys that are youngsters this year.
We've talked about injuries. Are there a player or two that you may be getting back for the final couple of games?
Yeah, our hopes is that Michael and Ford
Michael
Catchings, our starting running back, and our starting quarterback. We're looking to have both those guys back in the lineup this week. Both of those guys had sustained tough injuries in the first half of the Grand Valley game. And, once again, when you think about, Ford, think about the numbers that Ford put up against Ashland, where, our offense looked like, it's getting ready to hit, rare form, 500 yards against a top-notch, defense in the GLIAC, and then all of a sudden, you go to Grand Valley and, he gets really banged up in that awful weather game. And then in the first series, we had Michael Catchings go down as well. So right now we're playing with some young guys in the backfield. A positive is that Hayden's been, under center as our starter, and Hayden knows what he needs to do. And there were some things in that game that, Hayden will tell you himself that, he's excited to come back this week and get another shot, to perform against Northwood.
Because you were so thin at the quarterback spot last week, I wondered this aloud, and then later it came to me as I watched the game. Because you were so thin at the quarterback, did that limit some of the things you wanted to do with Hayden?
Well, it's a great question. At the same time, we have a young man behind him in Nolan Bird that I really feel confident in. He's a youngster. He's a redshirt freshman. His dad is Bird that coaches over at Reese Puffer in Muskegon. And, he's a coach's son. He gets the game. He understands the game. He's a talented young man. And if we need to go to him, he's ready. He's ready to roll, but he hasn't taken a snap yet at the collegiate level. But I'm pretty confident that when he gets the opportunity, he'll be ready. But at the same time, Hayden's a guy that, we feel like our playbook is open, to Hayden. But Wayne State did some things there in that ball game where, we didn't have much of a running game for Hayden there. So, we began to come one-dimensional, and we don't like that.
Yeah, and you say Michael Catching, you hope to get back now. Will he be 100% or not quite there?
Well, at this point, you never know until tomorrow. Tomorrow's a big day for guys that have ever been injured. My style is you have to be able to practice on Wednesday so that you can see how it responds on Thursday. And then Friday, obviously, for us, are pretty much off days, and then we play the ball game on Saturday. So, but we got some young guys. We got some young guys that's stepping up right now that I'm excited about, guys that are in my first recruiting class, that are stepping up and getting opportunities. And, we saw some very good things on film, and we're excited about our future.
All right, Coach, you brought a couple players. Cody Blankenberg, a sophomore from Lansing, wide receiver. I'll have you give me a few comments on him, and then we're going to get Anthony Scott in here. I'll have you get the last segment after we talk to Anthony a little bit about your recruitment of him and what he's meant to your program. First, tell us about Cody Blankenberg.
Cody, CB, man, he's an outstanding young man, and I like to think about our recruiting class, our first recruiting class. We wanted to bring in a different style player, and if you notice when he runs the ball in the backfield, our offensive run game looks different with him in the game. We look a little more explosive, than some of the other guys, because I have some bigger backs. If you can think about what the style of backs that we have, he's able to go inside as a back, outside as a back, but he also is a backup to Coop. So he's a young man that's going to step in as a slot, the following year. But this year, he went back to his roots as a high school player, and he was well recognized as a running back back in Lansing.
That's only going to make him better, that versatility, as you go on in future, being able to put him either as a wide out or in that backfield.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. He does some great things. We've seen him make big catches, in the last couple years. And right now, when a guy goes down, it's the next man up. We don't sit back and cry about when people go down. We hope that we get our guys back, but we always preach next man up, next man opportunity.
All right, well, let's get to Cody. Coach, you go have some of that Uccello's food here. We are at Uccello's of Caledonia every Tuesday. They have treated us royally every time we've been here in the 3 years we've been doing the show here. We look forward to a long future. Thanks to Jeff Kellogg and the whole gang here who just take great care of us with that. There's still time for you to get in with the Davenport football raffle. You can go right up till the we're going to draw it at halftime of Saturday's home finale. But you can buy tickets right up to, I think, Saturday morning, at least Friday for sure. Go to dupanthers.com, go to the football team program, and then look for the banner with the football raffle. We welcome in Cody Blankenberg, the sophomore from Lansing, young man who's made an impact here in his 2 years. Cody, let's first talk a little bit about your high school days. Played for Coach Bogan at Lansing Sexton High, very fine program. Tell us what you remember from Lansing and how that prepped you for college football.
Well, Coach Bogan influenced me to be a playmaker early. Started with my sophomore year. Had to lead the team. So going into my junior year, we went to districts. Then after that, my senior year, when we won districts, and I just had to be a big playmaker on the team, lead the team.
Well, he certainly was. He was all-area twice in the capital city area and named all-state in his senior year as well. Tell us maybe specifically, Cody, give us one or two things that Coach Bogan instilled in you as a player or maybe as a person that made you better.
Well, I think that he instilled in me is to be flexible, and I think that helps here a lot. This is as far as just moving around, getting.
And we were just talking with Sparky about how you're a wide out, and then you're in the backfield, and and then you're a wide out, and then you're and then you're a slot, and then. But that just makes you all the more dangerous, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, let's talk about from your freshman year to your sophomore year. Last year as a freshman, you played in all but one game for DU, and you also returned some nice kicks last year. You've made yourself solid in the kicking game now. I just wish we could get more hands on those kickoffs. They keep booting them in the end zone. I can tell you're dying to get your hands on it. Right?
Yeah.
What is your thought as far as returning kicks? What is the mindset? Are you thinking, I'm going to try to go all the way, or are you going to try to say, I'm just looking for... What are you thinking before they kick it off to you?
Oh, I'm thinking about a touchdown. First thing that comes to mind, a touchdown.
All right. What did you learn from your freshman year at Davenport to your sophomore year? What was the biggest thing you gained in that year?
Well, my freshman year, the biggest thing I learned from my freshman year was being behind guys like Coot, Keon, and learning from them. It just really helped me a lot growing into the player I am today.
Now, those are upperclassmen, obviously team leaders. Next year, you'll be an upperclassman. Leadership responsibilities will fall on your shoulders. What kind of leadership do you think you can show the younger guys next year?
Well, definitely by leading by example, continue to make plays in the practice and as well as showing up in the game.
All right, you're majoring in sport management. What are you thinking about doing after your Davenport days?
My long-term goal, I want to be a general manager
of
the NFL team.
An NFL team.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Shooting sky high, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be a great experience. That's why the sport management here at Davenport is one of the two colleges in the country that has the COSMA accreditation for a sport management major. So they get great experience here. Tell us about what's been your favorite sport management class experience so far. What have you say I've gotten more out of that class than anything else? What one and why?
Well, I think this year I've been learning a lot about getting my major and stuff like that, getting into internships, how ticket sales and everything works as far as in the business industry, in the sports industry.
Where are you hoping to get an internship? You haven't had one yet. Haven't had one yet, have you? Okay. What are you looking for? What would you ideal if you could have your first internship? What would it be?
It'd probably be ticket sales for the Miami Dolphins. Yeah.
Wow, that's going to come after your playing days, though.
Yeah,
are you going to get an internship before, or is it kind of just...
Before, hopefully, yeah.
Okay, great. That would be a fantastic experience there. You got any contacts down there?
Yeah, Caleb Thornhill, yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Great. All right. Hey, we're great to have you on the squad, Cody. We look forward to big things for you. Still got 2 more games left. Tell us what this team's got to do to turn around and snap this losing streak this week.
Definitely, we got to come in with a different mindset. We got to be able to just take this one game at a time, then move on to the next game.
And stop digging a big hole in the first half, right? We got to get some points in that first half. Let's see if you can do that. Thanks, Cody Blankenberg.
Thank you.
We appreciate Cody Blankenberg join us, and we'll call in our second player. This will be Anthony Scott, a 6'2 junior from Millersville, Maryland. He joins us right here in just a second. Before we do, a reminder, the final home game of the season this Saturday at the Farmers Insurance Athletic Complex. 12 noon, Davenport against Northwood University. Sparky and I will talk a little bit about that matchup in the home finale this Saturday when he joins us in the final segment. But right now, we're joined by 6'2 junior Anthony Scott from Maryland. You're a long way from home, Anthony.
Yes, sir.
Tell us first how you were first contacted by Davenport and what that recruitment process was like.
Well, when I was in L.A., Coach Sparky called me.
Yeah, he went to Los Angeles Pierce College for 2 years ago, or was it?
No, I went to him for my sophomore year.
Okay.
And I played there, and he called me I think around in the spring, and he asked me, man, who do you have, and how do you feel about coming playing for Davenport?
Now, had you ever heard of Davenport before? Be honest.
I've heard of Davenport.
You had. That's a good sign.
I was a fan of the GLIAC before I even started, because of Grand Valley, and I've seen Grand Valley and Ferris over the past years. So.
All right. Well, that's a great tribute to the GLIAC and the power, and you understand the caliber of competition you're playing, because now you've got guys from the GLIAC playing in the NFL.
Yes.
That's an encouragement, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Let's go back to your high school days in Millersville, Maryland. Old Mill High School. Of course, we don't know anything about that. Tell us about the high school level of ball you played in and your high school experience.
Well, Old Mill is a powerhouse in Maryland.
Where is Millersville in relation to Baltimore?
It's outside of Baltimore. It's in Anne Arundel County. Glen Burnie, Annapolis, all those areas right there. But with Ole Mill it's in the 4A. 4A is the highest ranking. So my senior year, my freshman year we went to the state championship and won. My senior year I went to the state championship and lost. So that's how it is.
He was not only all county in his area, he was all state performer with that as well. Played under Chad McCormick. Tell us about Chad McCormick. What did he teach you as a player and as a person to help you go to college?
He taught me to be physical. I mean, from my freshman to my junior year, I played defensive tackle, and last year he told me can I switch, and I switched to offensive line, and I was killing it. The first week I was killing it, and I couldn't even believe I was as good at it. So and he just taught me to be physical. We were just being physical. We ran the ball 95% of the time, and it doesn't matter who we lined up against. They could put 8 or 9 in the box, and we ran it every time with 5.
All right, now let's go back to that. Now I want you to be totally honest.
Okay.
Coach McCormick comes to you. Now you've been a defensive lineman. You've been excelling already. Mm-hmm. You're used to knocking guys down.
Right.
And he comes to you and says, we're going to put you on the other side of the line. What was your initial reaction right away, honestly?
Honestly, I didn't like it. I was like, I don't like offense. Why would I play offense? But
thank you for your honesty. Well, it makes sense. You'd rather be the hammer than the nail.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. But obviously it's worked out for you because you've got a chance to play at a higher level now, and you've moved on with that as well. What about your time? You mentioned when you first heard about Davenport, you looked it up and did your research, did your homework. Did you come on a visit before you committed?
No, I did not.
Now, what was that like? Tell me, because that's got to be a little unsettling that you choose a school that you physically haven't been to yet.
Well, honestly, I actually got an offer from another school, and something with my credits didn't go through, so I kept Davenport in my back pocket. But I also looked at the credibility of the school after football, and I was like, it's a private institution. And they have good academics, and also I like the jerseys, and it's in the Midwest. I like the Midwest. I like the cold. It's good to play in the cold, and I know a lot of guys don't like playing in it, but it toughens you up. So
now he's a player. The players love those jerseys, the home ones especially. Mm-hmm. We on the press hate them. Not because they're not good looking.
Can't see
you
them.
Can't read the numbers from the press box. But I understand. Now, the road ones, we can read them just fine. But I understand. And people, if you're standing on the field level and you look right at them, you can read them plain as day.
Right.
Go up 100 yards in the press box and try to read them if you don't know the players. That's a challenge as well here. All right. Now, Anthony's majoring in business administration.
Yes.
Where did that interest come from, and what do you hope to do with that?
Well, I have an associate's in behavioral social sciences, so I want to kind of enable that with the business aspect of psychology. It's plenty of fields that I can go into that deals with psychology and business, all together.
Would you like to have your own business someday?
I would, maybe in the long run, but I like to service the people first.
Okay.
That's what I'd like to do.
Now, wherever you go on to do whatever you're going to do, would you like to go back to the East Coast, to the area you grew up in, or are you willing to go anywhere in the country?
First thing I'm doing, I'm going back to Baltimore.
All right, tell me why that's special in your heart and why you want to go back there.
Well, Baltimore, that's home for me. I know it's hard to get out of that place. I made it out. And it's I feel like I'm obligated to bring that back to the kids who don't have opportunities like I've had for myself. It was hard, but I put it to the task, and I didn't give up, and now I'm here in Davenport.
Well, good for you. You can take the young man out of Baltimore, but you can't take the Baltimore out of the young man. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Well, good for you for giving back there. Well, hey, we wish you the best of luck. I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked before you go, Cody. What's this team got to do to turn things around? Go out there and get a W on that final home game this Saturday.
Just execute. Only thing we can do is just execute. That's the only thing we can do, execute and do our jobs.
All right, best of luck to you.
All right, thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining. You,
all right.
You like the food here so far?
Oh, yeah, it was hidden.
Well, all right, we'll go get some more.
All right.
All right, that's Anthony Scott, Jr. from Millersville, Maryland. Great visiting with him. And hang in there. My voice has just got to make it another few minutes here to get through this thing. But Coach McEwen joins us right now. Again, the final home game of the season this Saturday, 12 noon against Northwood. Coach, before we talk more about Northwood, You gave us your views on Cody. Tell us a little bit about Anthony Scott, your recruitment of him, and he was telling how he took the offer to come play for you without ever having physically been on campus.
Yeah, actually I chased him around since I arrived here, and you just have to stay on those guys, and hopefully you catch them at the right time, and we were in a battle with a couple schools, if I recall, and I caught him at the right time.
I don't know if you could hear over there in the speaker over there what he was saying, Coach, but he really gave a great testament to the GLIAC. No surprise to you, but folks, this really bears it out. Here's a young man playing on the far east coast in high school.
Correct.
Then he's on the far west coast playing junior college ball. Mm-hmm. And when you contact him, he said, I already knew about the GLIAC. And I had already heard about Davenport before Coach even got a hold of me. And I remember, when Coach Espo started, when you first started, you guys started contacting recruits. Usually you had to tell them from out of state who Davenport was, but looks like that's changing. It's
changing, and we do a really good job in the social media and, reaching out to individuals, the different four corners of our country. And one of the things that we like to impress upon student athletes is that we're going to recruit the state of Michigan, obviously, okay? That's our backyard. But, we need to go into Ohio, Indiana, Wisconsin, Iowa, Texas, Florida, California. We're going to do what we need to do to compete in this conference and compete at a high level because that's what the other teams do, okay? That's what the other teams do. And ultimately, at the end of the day, when taking the job and meeting with Mr. Loudon, and he knows my passion for winning. I know his passion for winning. And we know it takes time, but at the same time, I'm given the tools right now to have success, and having the ability to recruit the country is going to help speed up the process.
All right, let's take a look at Northwood, the opponent for the home finale this Saturday at 12 noon. Look at the stat sheet. Again, both teams tied in the conference 1-5 in league play, but you look at the stats, and they're interesting how close they are. Offensively, slight edge to Northwood, 20 points to game, 4 more than Davenport, but defensively, the edge to DU, giving up 7 points less than Northwood.
Correct. It's two ball clubs that, both are playing a lot of young players. And, Northwood, the last 2 years, when you talk to our players, Northwood has been a team that has physically gotten after us pretty well. And our kids, give much respect to the program and Coach Leonard and what he's done with the program. They're well-coached kids, and they do a great job on every phase of the game. Defense, offense, and special teams. They may have the best special teams in our conference, and the last couple years that we've played them, they've made big defensive special team plays on us. If you recall the fake field goal last year, and ended up eventually costing us. So we know what we have to do, but the biggest thing for us, Rick, is focusing on the details, okay, the details of things, because we're playing a lot of young people. We have some key seniors that play for us, and those young guys we're really pressing them to step up, and I'm putting a lot into my younger guys, the guys that I've recruited of late, to carry the program.
You mentioned the special teams. I was talking with Cody, and I'm frustrated because I feel I wouldn't take your tandem of Keon Powers and Cody Blankenberg over I wouldn't take any other pair of kick returners over those two guys, and yet you can't get their hands on the ball because the other teams keep kicking it in the end zone. What do you get? I know it.
That is true, and one of the guys that's probably better is Coot.
Yeah.
On punt return, and Coot could easily go back there as well. So, we've been blessed with having those type of quick twitch guys that can take it the distance. And our job is just trying to get them enough touches, And, we had a big meeting this week with our players and our team, and, we've run into some buzzsaws. The teams that we've lost to of late, man, they're playing really good football. We don't take anything away from anyone. We don't fear anyone. But, before you can win, you have to learn to respect your opponents. And they respect, the conference, and they respect the style of play in this conference. And they know we just have to get better. We just have to get better and execute. If we could do those things, we've shown that we can compete in this conference. We've played pretty much with everyone, and we've beaten our share of teams, and we just want to show a little more consistency.
Do you have to spend a fair amount of time as far as getting the guys, daubers up to get there, or are they doing that on their own as far as getting ready for the next challenge?
Well, anytime you get in a situation where you're losing ball games, okay, it's human nature to drop the dauber a little bit. It's human nature to go into a funk. But I always say this to you, Rick. Depending on how you prepare, okay, will determine how long you feel like you can be down. My guys know. Our guys are still at practice dancing and enjoying practice, and our coaches are too. And we're loud, we're passionate guys, and we don't coach scoreboard. We don't. And I've told you that wins or losses, it doesn't matter to me. I want you playing really, really hard for 4 quarters, and our guys understand what stage we're at in the process. But you have to come to work every day and work your tails off. And I couldn't hear the questions you're asking the young guys over there, but they know we got to go to work every day and practice hard and enjoy practice.
You talked about guys during the season, Coach, like Kai Black and some of the other upperclassmen as your leaders. Tell us, is there a guy or two that has grown in leadership terms this year in ways that you didn't really see either last year, or maybe they're new to the program, who've really stepped up and become a leader in 1 year?
We've got a few guys. We've got a couple guys, man, on defense. Gardner, he's doing a great job for us as a youngster that's coming along, and he's one of the guys on my leadership council that for the university that's doing big things, and he's got 3 years left.
Jalen Gardner. Yep.
He's doing a great job for us, and Jalen Robinson, he stepped up huge this year. I mean, just in a huge way. Marshall Brooks, here's a guy that's a 6'3.5" corner that's playing extremely well for us, and these are kids that we brought in when we got here, and we're putting a lot of pressure on those guys to step up as leaders. Blake Daniels is another young man that we've talked to, and he's a guy that's stepping up. He's been injured this year. Nolan Bird, here's a guy that I've been nudging and pushing and biting at a little more to try and get a rise out of him, because these type of guys I want stepping up and being leaders. And Shane Shannon, here's a guy that was nearly voted as a captain, but he's our most boisterous lineman. So, with the emergence of these new young running backs, I'm getting guys stepping up there as well. So guys are emerging as leaders and seeing things that we should be doing, or maybe even that we shouldn't be doing. So, all in all, when you take a look at the wins and losses, and early we came out, we very easily could have lost a couple of those ball games, but then there's some of these ball games that we lost, we could have won as well, so as long as we're, in my mind, competing at a high level. I was disappointed this past weekend because, we did run into a buzzsaw, okay, and I was without a couple key components to our defense. Our best defensive lineman, he was out, for the second straight game. That hurt us significantly when you're going against a Wayne State team that runs the ball so well. And then on offense, like I said, when you miss your backfield, that's always tough. All
right, Coach, we look forward to it and getting a win this week against a good Northwood squad. 12 noon to kickoff. And Amanda will be back here Monday. This Monday will be the final show. Monday night, not Tuesday next week. And we look forward to that. That'll wrap it up here from Uccello's in Caledonia. Thanks for joining us here on YouTube Live. So for the head coach, Sparky McEwen, I'm Rick Berkey saying thanks for joining us once again. And go Panthers.